Hi, welcome to the Pick Up the Flow show. I'm Selwa, and my guest today is Guarionex Rodriguez Jr. How are you? I said it like you, so
I'm
yeah.
good. I'm doing good.
Nice.
Relax. It's a beautiful day. Super sunny.
Yeah, it's so nice outside, and I'm so happy to have you back. So we recorded the first podcast episode back in 2022.
hmm
So yeah, if you're listening and you wanna dive back into Guarionex's background, feel free to check this out. And yeah, I'm happy to dive in with your new projects. And but yeah, before we start, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Guarionex Rodriguez Jr. I'm an artist. I practice my art in photography. I also DJ now. Since 2022, I wasn't DJing, but now I'm out here in the scenes, playing all my favorite music and playing at my favorite venues. So, yeah.
So yeah, what have you been up to lately?
Been working on a lot of projects and doing kind of unconventional rollouts of my projects where like almost every month I've been doing something different and showcasing new different photographic projects. I did a gallery show at my old studio, Flowers for Anacaona. And it was like kind of like a collaborative installation with my friend from Olive, who's a florist, and my friend Wendy, who does ceramics. And that show was like really nice. I also am having like a book release on portraits that I did at Sustain Release, and the project is called Assembly of Very Many Persons. And still working on my Dominican Republic project, Segunda Generación. And yeah, and I have so much other random projects. I'm just like trying to remember, and I'm like, what am I doing? But
Yeah, that's New York. I feel like we need to be always like be doing things, but yeah, I remember I went to like your opening show, like your gallery show, Flowers for Anacaona, and it was so beautiful. And I want to know more about like how did that came out? Like why did you want to do it?
so the project itself started out because I'm part of this collective called Mycelia Collective, which is comprised of photographers like Chad Hilliard, Courtney Sophia Yates, Rasan Wizard, Keenan McWilliam, and Cheryl Sanchez, and we get together to talk about our works, and sometimes we give each other homework assignments. And one of the homework assignments was to photograph something about our heritage. And Anacaona is a cacique, which is basically a chief of the Tainos in the island of what is now Haiti and Dominican Republic. And her name means golden flower. And because of the homework assignment, I was kind of like, oh, I kind of want to start. I want to be in search of this golden flower because of her. Like I'm really attached of like the Tainos and what that means for like the island, and like trying to not have any erasure of the Taino people, because even my name Guarionex is also a Taino name, and so I try to really like preserve something of like that kind of like of a culture that is now fully intertwined in the island but also disappeared. So yeah, I was like in search of like golden flowers at a flower market, and I picked up all these like yellow flowers and photographed it. And then it changed over time because I did it for like fun. I photographed the flowers and I showed it to like the collective, and then they were in love with it. So, and then after a year, I was kind of like, oh, I still want to like explore photographing these flowers. And I met my friend Carla and from Olive, who would like help me pick out flowers and donate flowers to me.
Oh, wow.
And excuse me. And I would like go to the studio, photograph these flowers, like the one that's like presented right now. And I was just photographing these flowers over and over and over again. And because it like kind of started through the collective, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do this. And when I would sell my prints, and I would print them out too. And when I would sell like my prints from my Dominican Republic project, people got to see like the flower project. I never posted it. I never like showed it anywhere. And people were like in love with it. And I was like, okay, there's something there, but I don't want to just like, I don't want to photograph and sell flower photos. Like that's not, I'm not like trying to capitalize on this. I just wanted to feel like what was the reason. And so when I was in Dominican Republic, as I was like working on my DR project, my uncles, who like, so like, I don't know, it's like weird to explain. When my parents met, my dad got very familiar with my mom's side of the family, like very quickly. And my dad's brothers, who are my uncles, would be traveling around Dominican Republic, and they would need a place to stay. And so they would stay where my mom lived. And my grandparents would also just like host them. And when I was in Dominican Republic, visiting one uncle at a time, for some reason on this one day, they kept on telling me this story about like my uncles and also my mom, like all in one day told me the story about my grandfather going out to do errands or go to work, and he would come back with a singular flower for my grandma.
Whoa.
And he would do this all the time as an act of love. And it tripped me out because I was trying to like make sense of this flower project. I was trying to make sense of like why I was like so connected to like the name Anacaona, which means the golden flower. And then it all just clicked to me. It's like, yeah, there's something of the power of like flowers and how it draws and connects community. And when I did the art show, it was when I was leaving my studio, and I was like, oh, I'm going to use up my last week in this space to do this project. And collaborated with Wendy and Carla and also Sam, who like put together all the wines and like responded to the flowers through wine. And it became like a very special like installation where everyone that was like purchasing a print from this project received a flower from Olive. And I encourage everyone that received the flower to give that flower to somebody else, like to echo what my grandfather was doing. And yeah, like it was so beautiful to make an art installation that was like super specific. And I don't know if I could ever recreate that art installation. I think it was like a moment in time. Like I still haven't posted any of these flowers online. Like it's like there's something about it that I'm just like, okay, like this was the format that I want to show this art form, like this project, this art project.
Yeah, it was so beautiful because I feel like also like your work, your artwork is always tied back to like community and like being there. I really felt that power, and also the fact that like now it's connected to like you like your own like family history is like so powerful, you know. And but I'm curious, like like what was the process of like shooting the of like making all those photographs? Like how was it? Like did you work on it like in one take, or like it was like a project that you've been building up?
It's been building up and it's still building.
Oh,
so
nice.
so essentially like Carla would call me and say like, hey, I got flowers this week, and I would go to her studio, pick up these flowers, and go back to my studio and just like photograph like late night and trying to experiment. And I'm always experimenting. So my process for even photographing that is just like to experiment with light and have fun. And a lot of people know me as like a portrait photographer. And I don't identify as a portrait photographer, but but like I do think that that the flowers do look like portraits no matter what.
Yeah.
It is kind of like a still life of like individual flowers. But I think the process itself is just having fun and experimenting and letting go. So I tried my best to go to the studio like every other month to just like work on that project.
Oh wow. And like did you get any kind of feedback from people?
Yeah, like besides like the Mycelia Collective like helping me like articulate the work. Excuse me. I also think that they like other people have like that seen the body of work in my studio. They like expressed what was working, what wasn't working. And over time when I was like experimenting and photographing more, I knew what to do like for each session. And I tried to. And sometimes I would experiment and do other things just that I haven't done before and see what happens, you know?
Yeah, I'm so curious because that's so cool that you have this collective. Like, how did that happen?
The collective started, did we talk about it in 2022? Because it was so fresh at that time.
I don't
think so,
yeah.
But it was very fresh in 2022. My friend Chad Hilliard and Avion Pierce, we all shared a studio. Excuse me. I'm getting like dry.
Yeah, it's so hot.
But no, so we shared a studio space. Chad Hilliard and Avion Pierce, we shared a studio space, and then we were talked about like, oh, let's have like an art critique, because at the time we were like looking into grad school, and I really wanted to go to grad school, but something happened where my gut feeling told me like don't pursue like grad school now. And it's not that I'm not against it. Like I do love to see like how grad school challenges like my peers. And I was really seeking for that challenge, but I was also seeking for that community. And I think what happens in grad school is like you could really find a community, especially that everyone's there really like tuned into like what their art practice is. And like I remember like I went to go see Noah Davis's show, and when I didn't know like I didn't know he was the reason why the underground museum existed, and how he put so much like love and community into the underground museum. And when I went to his show, I felt this like energetic pull, gravitation of like so many people. And this show was in New York City, and I think I'm pretty sure, I want to say 2021. No, sorry. It was 2020. It was top of 2020 before the shutdown.
Whoa.
And I think at that time, me, Avian, and Chad, we were like, let's just do let's just have our own thing, like critique ourselves and like start that. And over time, like we were meeting over and over, and then COVID happened. And then like our lives shifted. Avian went to go focus on her work. Me and Chad still shared the studio, and because we were still in the same studio, we were like, oh, let's invite more people. And then we invited like what the crew is right now.
Wow.
And we like met almost every month, and we were kind of like excited to always see each other. And after a while, we were like, okay, we need to make a manifesto. Because it's like, if we're gonna like really do this, like let's really do it. And it took almost a year to create a manifesto, because we really believed in ourselves and really believed what we were doing, but we wanted to find the right language to articulate like what that energy is. And then we like came up with the name like Mycelia, because like if the audience doesn't know, like mycelium is like in the underground soils that help connect plant life and help grow like mold and like give life to plants where it needs more life than other plants. I don't know. It's like a network, right?
Yeah.
And we felt that. So we had this collective to really be like, we want to see more collectives like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have the capacity to like bring people in, because like we also based it around the Kamoiji workshop, which was they were part of like the Harlem Renaissance. The workshop was started by Roy de Carava, and I'm butchering his name. I'm so sorry, but he started the workshop, and it was like a lot of photographers. We don't know if we have the capacity to bring that many photographers, because we don't really have the space for it, like physical space. But we definitely wanted to have the collective be open and transparent of what we do. And we're trying to find a way to kind of like let people know, like, hey, like this is what we do. Anyone could do this.
Yeah.
Like, let's all do it.
Yeah.
And something that my friend Lin Yi, who does Mold Magazine, Field Meridians, in nature school, she was doing all these classes and like having people host these classes, and she said that she is trying to like pollinate information.
Oh, nice.
You know, and I think that's like such a beautiful way to think about like, oh, this is what we should be doing. Let's
so
just
true.
pollinate information, and like let's give kind of like the resources that's needed for somebody else to start something somewhere else. Like not just like make it not institutionalize and gatekeep ideas, and really just focus on, hey, this is what we're doing and you could do it too. And it's easy to do it. Like it's easy to get together. It's hard, but we're gonna make it easy. But anyways, I feel like I went on a tangent, but
no, that's so important and beautiful, because I feel like so many of us, like, you know, after school, like, it's harder to find sometimes like stable work, and then we want to go to grad school, but then we don't want to get into debt again. And I feel like it's so unfair, you know? So I think it's really important to find ways to create those spaces where people can still work on their practice, you know, and without having to go to school. So that's so, I love it. That's I hope other people
I'm like,
do
I
that.
love it too. Like, yeah.
And I love the name. But yeah, speaking of field meridians, you had, you led a workshop, right? How was it?
Yeah, it was good. It actually happened this a couple days ago, and the workshop was called "The Feelings of Taking a Photo," where I led a class to teach the gut feeling of how to make an image, and within the class, I talked about like my personal practices. Where it's before taking a photo, it's about like meditating, pausing, and listening. And the major thing that I said about like what I mean by listening is not just sounds, but it's like listening to the body, listening to even like the feelings of like your skin, your blood flow, like listening to everything and that's happening, and also tapping into like getting deeper into like the sounds of like is there like a wind blowing, is there like trees moving, is there like a car driving by, like listening to every single thing and then going out to go photograph. And really teaching this class was about going all the way inside to then go out and capture that. And yeah, the class was amazing. Like, I'm down to have this kind of like workshop again and like really tap in, because what tends to happen in, at least in my art practices, is that I start somewhere and I actually end up somewhere completely different because I just follow my gut and follow this intuition. And even with like Flowers for Anakaona, like that started through like having like a simple assignment with the Mycelia Collective, and now it's like a full project that like brought a whole community together. Like you even came through and like
I got the print.
Yeah,
I love it.
And so many people came and showed out, and it's like, this is what happens when you go follow a gut feeling, and it's like, and it's following this curiosity and being open for curiosity. And so the class was really highlighting that, and I'm so happy for Lin Yi for bringing me to this class, bringing me to host this class and teach. Because when she approached me, and there's always been so many people that approach me to teach a class, but I think sometimes it's easy to assume like, oh well, it's photography, is it something technical, like what can we do? And I was like, no, I kind of want to do something so different, and the technical stuff, it just already exists out there. Like it's easy to like search all this technical stuff. It's like, what could we teach that still hasn't been taught? And I feel like that feeling of taking a photograph was like, okay, yeah, that might be it. And like Lin Yi helped me work out this workshop. Like we were bouncing off ideas back and forth, and then it was like, okay, cool. Like finally something super unique that then I'm kind of like, the school doesn't teach this.
That's so beautiful, and I love it because I feel like even school would teach people to do like the technical thing, and then the art is like soulless. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the idea of like intuition is kind of like taken for granted. Like people don't think about it as legitimate, but it's so important. And I think about, because like my professors have and my mentors have kind of like talked about that, but
I feel like there should be a full class, like a whole like semester of it, you know, like
because then it's like anyone can produce something, but if it's not like coming from your gut and like honest, like why?
Yeah, like I feel like I could take this class and have like a full semester of being like, okay, like the first month we're just gonna practice meditation, and then the next month we're just gonna like finally like just practice like listening, you know, like just to like just to teach to build up like, oh, and now you can work on your project, you know. And I'm also part of the project I was showing like how to look up for references and like how to like be inspired, and these are things that are like really needs to be taught within any artistic practice. And I do hope like even anyone that's like watching today, that people are, if they're an artist or they don't think they're artists, but I'm pretty sure if there's people that are out there that are like, I don't think I'm an artist, and I'm like, you kind of move like an artist. So like just like sit and listen and practice listening and exploring, like looking at other art. Like there's something that happens that sparks when you kind of like follow that curiosity.
Yeah, and that's actually what I feel with you. Like, I mean, we've been friends for quite a while, but like you're always curious about things. Like you go to so many different kind of events. Like you're not just like tapped into like photography. Like you're also have interest in music, and I feel like all of those influences lead you to places you wouldn't think of. And I'm curious like to know more about your experience with music, because now you're also playing music, DJing. Like how does that influence your practices?
It kind of like shifted because I was mostly like an audience member in these like nightlife spaces, but now DJing, like I get to practice tapping into the energy all around, and it's actually helping me tap more into the energy of like when I photograph people. And I've been now mixing with like photographing like more landscapes, but also thinking about new projects to photograph people. And now like because I'm DJing now, like, and reading the crowd is so crazy. Like you DJs are crazy. Like I'm like, wait, this whole time, like this is why y'all are always stressed, because like looking at a crowd to be like, okay, one person left, 5 people are leaving, 10. Oh, we gotta switch the song. I don't know what's going on, but like we gotta get the vibe back. And that type of practice is helping me find ways to tap into like seeing people's feelings. If I'm gonna approach a person to go photograph, I need to like feel that energy, and this DJing practice is actually helping me do that. And music research is like, because I do photographic research a lot, now I'm doing music research. Like I was just like looking up music because I liked a song, and like I didn't really like do any kind of research. I did do research because of like my taste in music, but now it's going deeper because I'm like, oh, I want to be like way more intentional when it comes to DJing. Like if I'm gonna DJ, I always want to have like a local artist that I know, like in my DJ sets. I want to always play something that like I personally have like attached myself with, like the person. And I also want to play like a little bit of history of like whatever genres of music that I'm playing. And so I want to always make sure that that is in my DJ sets now. And now I get it. It's like I've been inspired by you like for years, you know, like, and there's so many many other like DJs that like truly inspired me. And now like I get to be in the booth to like really feel like, oh, I get what they were doing even more now. You know, like so it's really helpful overall for my artistic practice.
Nice. So I know that's like a cheesy question, but like how would you describe your style? Like artistic style, whether in music or visually?
Damn, would I describe it? Experimental, but and familiar at the same time. Because it's not like I do like abstractions, but I also don't like to express in a typical way.
Yeah.
Like I still want people to dig, like just because it's like portraits, it's like, oh yeah, that's good portraits. It's like, no, dig deeper, because like actually this person's really important in this photograph, and like or this body of work is really important. Like yeah, I could be photographing any flowers, but like no, dig deeper. Like there's something deeper in my exploration in these flowers, you know. Like yeah.
And it like because like the last time we talked, like have you been experiencing any kind of challenges with your practice lately, or
my biggest challenge was finding the financial means to make work. I think the last podcast in 2022, there was the biggest like reparation jobs happening in New York City and in the world, where I thought I was going to be at a better place in my art career, especially with commercial photography. I thought I was going to get more work. I thought I was going to be signed to an agency, because the work was flowing in very rapidly. But as soon as companies stopped caring about BLM, like as soon as they're just like, oh, we're done with wokeness, like people went back to sleep. Like
that's so insane.
And that was like the biggest challenge, was to, how do I make work without the financial means? And I would try to do grants, I would try to get prizes, like try to get like even like a simple feature in like a predominant magazine or newspaper, and nothing was clicking. And then it was like, that was like the biggest challenge for me, was like figuring out like, okay, how do I actually like still make art even if money's not flowing in? And like luckily simultaneously, I didn't start DJing for money, but like when I started DJing and then getting paid, thanks to like Bowen from Mood Ring and Vanessa, like
shout out to Bowen and Vanessa.
They really encouraged me to like go out and DJ. And a lot of my friends have always encouraged me to DJ, but like if it wasn't for Bowen and Vanessa to be like, no, please practice. Like here's these CDJs, just practice.
That's so nice.
Like I wouldn't have gotten like the extra income and like the extra income that I needed to still create for my photographic practice. And then I was able to sell prints, and now like my body of work has been everywhere. Like my body of work is global right now. Like there's people that own my art in different countries.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
How do they find it?
There's sometimes I've sent prints to people I don't even know, and and it's kind of odd because I tried to do this thing where I do like pre-print sales, where I ask my followers, hey, like if you want to buy a print, like you could buy it at a lower cost, so then like you could own a print before I get gallery represented. And like, because in the gallery world, it's photographic art prints could sell for like 5 to 10K.
Oh wow.
And it's like and to me, I'm just like, okay, I'm not trying to like, yes, I'm trying to make that money for like my own practices, but also I want my friends and family to own it, and I want strangers to have access to like my work. So I would do these like pre-print sales and be like, hey, basically like sponsor my work and you get a print And now I'm in the lab, and I'm in the lab, I would print so much. Like once I'm in the lab and rent out lab time, I print so much, especially like one body of work. I'm like printing.
Wow.
And that was the thing that like helped me like through my art career right now. Like it's helping me right now. It's like the commercial work was not coming in. For 6 months, I wouldn't have any commercial work. Luckily, I also still photographed DJs and did press shots for architects, for writers. I do press shots for anyone. Like if anyone needs portraits, and this is anyone is listening right now, like I will photograph your portraits. Like it's okay. Like people think that, oh, like no, he's doing like big things. I'm like, no, I'm not. I need to survive. We're all surviving. Like, yes, I get these big commercial jobs, but that doesn't mean like, that doesn't mean like, this is like in like a consistent incoming thing and a consistent income. Like, it was crazy to think that like for 6 months, I didn't have like a money flow. It was just money coming in, like from one place to another, and just like saving that money to be like, okay, now I can pay rent. Okay, now I can get groceries. Okay, like now I can like enjoy being a night out, you know? But
it's so true. Like I feel like so many of us, like among our friends, like people think of us are being really successful, but then like freelance work in New York is like, it's insane.
Yes.
Like unless like you're a tech, you work in the tech industry, like, and you know, like just rent is so expensive. So basically you work to pay the rent or like to survive. And I feel like it's so taboo. Like people don't talk about it, but I think we should talk more about it.
Yes.
Because people like money, like not making money doesn't mean that like we're not worthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because a lot of the things that gets presented on Instagram or like whatever social media is like, it's like, oh yeah, like all these things are happening, they must be doing good. It's like, no, we're barely surviving. And the cost of rent, like there needs to be like a law that needs to cap these like what's happening in New York City is not good right now. It is not good. Like the way that like they're cutting off, they're basically cutting off resources just by having high rent. And somehow it's like these landlords are just like, okay, cool, whatever, like we'll just have a tech person pay this you know, like it's like we don't care where you go. Like, and it's always gonna be like that. Like I always think of this era as like the new era of struggling artists, because like when I read about artists back in like the 60s or the 70s or 80s, it's like they'd be talking about like, yeah, rent was like $200, but like they were selling their art for $50. So it's like it was still like it's still like a lot like during that time, and they were still like struggling to be like existing, and like it's not like a meal was $20 like during that time, like a meal was $5 you know, like, and that's like if you think about the percentage of like what is my like how much percentage is going to my food, how much percentage is going to rent. It's like it's still a ridiculous amount. Like, you know, like I could be making so much money, but all of that is like funneling into rent. Like if you go to Street Easy right now, like a neighborhood even like where I used to live, Bushwick, it's like it's $3,000. What are we doing
for a studio? Or like sometimes 1 bedroom, so like 2 bedroom it's 4,000 or 5,000. It's insane. Like
if you do the calculation, it's like you still have to make 40 times the rent. What artist is making 40 times $3,000? What is that? You know? Like
actually I'm curious about like to know more, like to know your opinion on this. Like I feel like since 2017, like in our community, there are a lot of like tech people who want to be DJ, you know what I mean? And it's like you think they're struggling artists, but they have actually like a 100K, like 200K salary job, and it's like this kind of like illusion. You know what I mean? Like I feel like
it's definitely
Yeah.
There's definitely like an illusion for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
And that's fine to create that illusion for these like commercial like ads, marketing, like these big entities that could pay, like that's what the illusion is for. But then the illusion like scares away like younger people to understanding like how to actually become artists. And I was doing the illusion for a long time where I was photo assisting for 7 years. And like by the time we did the podcast, it was like I was maybe like a year or two in as being like a full-time artist. Now it's like the 4th year that I've been a full-time artist. And it's kind of insane how much now I have to like think about where my income is coming. And there's like a lot of sacrifices that I need to make, but there's a lot of artists out here, they're doing other jobs. Like they have full-time jobs somewhere else, and no one cares about these full-time jobs. Or at least like artists that I know within my community, whether it's like music or whether it's like visual arts, they don't care about their full-time jobs. They're just doing it because like it's what pays the bills. And we have to like let people know like this is the reality of being an artist, especially in New York City. And to be a successful artist, like I'm still trying to get out of the struggle. But I feel very optimistic. I'm very abundant, you know, like the way that my resources exist is completely different than like somebody else's resources. And I really do feel like happy with what's going on in this world, in this artist community, despite of the fucked up shits that are actually happening in the world. Like truly fucked up shit is happening in the world, like with the genocide. And you know, like there is something being awakened up, because like right now, and I'm gonna speak on it now, it's like right now with the genocide, there is so many, there's like this bigger thing like with the US and other Western countries that are basically like, hey, follow our rules and you'll be safe and free. But you could talk, you could say whatever. And it's like, for us to voice like, yo, we don't want this shit to happen. What are you fucking doing over there? We don't want this shit to happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, don't worry. Like, we'll take care of it. And it's like, no, you're fucking lying. This is a lie. Like this system's a lie. Since COVID, we've figured out the system has been a lie. And now, right now, as artists, it's like, what are we even doing? Like the system is a lie. Like people don't really care, as like artists don't really care about these like 9-to-5 jobs or like whatever we're doing in these like companies. We care about like our community. We care about like what's going on. And it's like, since like 2020, I have seen a shift in community. I have seen a shift, even though people went back to work and people went back to like the normal lives. Like we are now at a new place where it's like, okay, screw the sponsorship unless if we're really getting like a big paycheck, but like we're gonna do this no matter what. I've been to so many events, whether it's like chef events, whether it's like art installations, whether even with like doing the flower exhibition, Flowers for Anacaona, like that was inspired by my friends Tina Snow and Tamika, who Tamika does this wonderful she has this wonderful like art piece called Dial an Ancestor, and she teamed up with Tina Snow to who does I'm blanking on the name, but Tina Snow focuses on sound systems and the accessibilities of sound systems for everyone to hear. And they activated that show at Lycan, and I was so amazed by the activation. Like Lycan is the furniture store in Ridgewood, and that inspired me to like do my gallery show and collaborate with my friends. And I was just like, Yeah, and none of it is sponsored. There was no financial backings in neither of the places. There was no, and like I see my friends do food pop-ups in all these like unconventional places. I see more art gallery shows in unconventional places, and it's like we like even DIY like parties and raves are like backing it up because people are like, wait, we could do this our own, and we could have like these beautiful things happen without sponsorship.
Yeah.
And we're sick and tired of these lies.
Yeah.
These companies will hire us and they will drop us in a heartbeat. They'll be like, work for us, you get all these like amenities. They're just like the government telling us like, no, don't worry, you could be free. We could go kill someone else, but you could be free. And it's like, we have to realize that like we are in a place right now where it's like we are being lied to constantly, and we have to fight back. We have to fucking fight back right now. And like, and this is the radical things of what's going on. And it's inspiring to be in this era right now, because it's like people are going to look back at this era and really be like, what? How the fuck were people living? Like,
it's so true. Like, we don't realize that like we're living like a very specific era. And also, I agree with you. Like, I've seen more community, project and people caring more about people than before, which is weird, but in a way it's good. Because I feel like the power we have is each other. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's a class, thing where rich people don't want us to talk to each other and help each other. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We should inject more of that, like mutual aid and solidarity, and not be like think it's taboo. Like if we're struggling to pay rent, it shouldn't be taboo. We should tell our friends, Like, this is not, because our parents at this age, like they bought their house, like they had like a nice life. And look at our lives, like this is not our fault.
Yeah. And it's like the resources are not there anymore. It's not the same 50 years ago, And we have to find new ways of owning up, ownership, Like I feel like we were always taught like to like ownership over lands, and like which like I would love to own like my own house. I would love to, but it's also like the other thing that we have to also learn to own is our mind, our thoughts. And we sell our thoughts all the time. We sell it onto these social media platforms. We sell it for free on Instagram. Instagram makes so much money off of our ideas, our beliefs, and we don't even own that. They own our idea. Like every swipe, every time we put content on Instagram or any of these social medias on X, like it's like they make money off of our ideas and we get nothing from it. And even if and people have always told me like, you should post more photographs because you'll get more jobs. I'm like, why am I worried about like selling? I feel like I'm already selling my soul on being on this platform. And why do I have to sell my soul more just to live? Just to get one more job, just to get like, just to be like, oh, look at the job, like the photos I took, please hire me more. It's like, I'm tired of this shit. I just want to live. I just want to exist. I want to be free, know?
And I definitely agree. And I feel like now maybe posting more doesn't necessarily bring you things, like it's so devalued in a way. Like, like, what do you think of social media right now?
I think like I'm personally over it. I'm not posting as much. I wiped out my account. I know my work is being pitched to these like companies, and like I know people are like trying to work with me, and they go on my social media and they're like, what does he do? And I'm kind of like I do stuff, trust. Like if my friends that are in that meeting telling you that I could do that work, why aren't you trusting them? Like they're trying to like see like what are my engagements and like what like photos I've made before, and like it's like go on my website, like my resume is there, like on my website I've like listed all the companies that I've like worked with, and it's like, don't you see that I could do this? Look at all these companies. They're big companies. I could do it. I don't need to show that I could do it all the time. Yeah. And that list keeps growing. So it's like, if you don't trust the process, and they do it for like these white photographers all the time. Like I've been on white photographers' websites that are like making $100K for each shoot and stuff. And like you go on their website and there's nothing. You Google them, there's like barely photos like floating around. And I'm like, how are these?
Insane.
It's crazy. And it's like, I'm not dismissing people's like work ethics and stuff, but I'm like, you could, if you could believe this like random older white man, like why can't you believe that I'm able to do this? You know, like why do I have to like dance and dance in front of like an audience to be like, please like hire me, like look, I know how to dance, please hire me. It's like, I don't know, but no, I do know like what that industry is doing, like what this industry does. And I do see social media as, I see what they're doing. I see how they changed up the algorithm for us to like create more content for them so they can make more money, so they could sell. Like the amount of times that like my every time I, like, for example, when I posted flowers for Anakaona, it kept on asking me, don't you want to boost this? Don't you want to, like, you know, it's like, and I know it wasn't given engagement because after the show, people were like, oh my God, I just saw it. And
I remember like I saw it on Bizarre Bazaar and my private account, and on Brooks, my artist account, I didn't see it. Yeah, and it's and they're doing these tricks to be like, oh, do you want to miss another audience? And I was like, no, you know what? Y'all could keep your algorithms. Like the true algorithm is just telling people. I was just telling people, I was like sending my flyers to like as many people as possible. I wasn't flooding my text. I would just be like walking around and be like, oh yeah, I really miss this person. Let me tell them about my show. And that person would tell somebody else. And like that natural algorithm, the true algorithm, like my show was packed the whole time, you know? And so many friends were there. Like it was so organic and you're so you're so right. Like this natural algorithm, that's the algorithm we need to be investing in, not this tech algorithm from Silicon Valley.
Exactly. And it comes from somewhere, and it's like, and that's what community used to do. Like me and my friends, we were joking about like, remember when we used to post parties on Facebook to find out what parties were happening? Facebook is not even a place for that. Like back in the day, people would pass out flyers out in the street to be like, come to this rave. And then that's how you got so many people in. And it's like, how are we detaching ourselves with this like personal connection? And it's like, we can't even send a text for an invite, you know? Like we can't even do that anymore. And it's so like, true. Please, I posted it. Why didn't you see it? You know, like it's like, no, let's not trust these algorithms anymore. Let's go back to just trusting our human connection, you know?
I agree 100%. And I would love to talk about your book project, Rengse, A Ray of Light, with Melissa Kush. So for me, it was so inspiring because you were, you know, you didn't wait for a grant to make this project happen. And you raised a campaign, and you raised like over like 20K.
18K. 18K. Yeah,
18K.
It was still a lot. It's still a lot. It's like, what?
That's insane. Like, cause I've seen so many like projects like relying on funding, like from like, you know, community, and to reach that level is very impressive. So I'm really curious about why did you choose to just do it through the Kickstarter, and what's the project about?
So Rengse is me and Melissa's collaborative project about I our inspiration from seeing like the Cambodian youth when we traveled to Cambodia. And if the audience doesn't know, like Cambodia went through their genocide in the 80s, the 70s and 80s, and it affected like our generation. Melissa is Cambodian, and like within her community, it's like this is just their parents. Like their parents like witnessed it, and then now like this is kind of like the after effect of like what does it look like now, and so like we really did believed in this project. We worked on it back. We started it in 2017, photographed it for like 2 years. Like we went back for 2 years, and excuse me. And when we believed it so much that we were like, okay, how are we going to convince a publisher to publish this? And we realized that we had to do so much writing, so much like articulating, so much to like really like delve into like why someone should care about this. And then it got to a point where we were like, all right, let's level out the pros and cons, because I've seen my friends publish through publishers all the time. And I see publishers reshape a book just so it could sell. And we really got to a point where it was like, why do we need to sell an idea to somebody else? Why can't we just like do it for ourselves and get our community to like support this? And convince the community like, hey, like, please support this project. And when I started doing these interviews when I lived in Lynn, Massachusetts, on Cambodian Americans, because at that time I did like a video documentary about the immigrant experience. And when I was like a teenager when I did this. I went to this after school program called Raw Artworks, and my mentor Chris, he's my teacher, and he kind of like got me into like this documentary practice of like oh, you should interview like all these different types of people. Like first I interviewed like my parents about their immigrant experience, and then he encouraged me to like explore more, like explore other immigrant experiences. And then when it came to like me asking my Cambodian friends, it was kind of silence. And this was like back in like maybe 2008 or so. And then like while I was in college, I was like so interested in like the themes of like the Cambodian American experience was like increasing as I was like learning my art and practicing my like finding new ways to like practice like my photographic style. I was photographing like a lot of people within my community. And so when I graduated college, I was trying to get a grant to go to Cambodia. And because I was like, oh, I kind of want to like see for myself like what is happening. Like I don't understand like what's really going on in Cambodia back in like 2010 and 2011. I graduated in 2011, and I didn't get the grant. So I was like, okay, I can't travel to Cambodia. I don't have money to go to Cambodia. And I immediately was like, okay, like my friend donated a huge box of film. He's like, I'm not using this 4x5 film anymore. Like you can have it. And it was like a lot of film. And I was like, cool. Like I'm going to start my project. Like this is like the answer. Yeah. And so I started to interview my Cambodian American friends. All my Cambodian friends I was interviewing, I got to interview their family. And then what ended up happening was that I was tapping into like stories that even my friends didn't hear from their grandparents and their parents. And became this like really like beautiful unraveling of history, but also sad. It was a terrifying like time for a lot of my a lot of my friends' family. And then that's where I met Melissa. And Melissa immediately was like, hey, do you want after a year of becoming best friends, like she was like, do you want to just go to Cambodia with me? And I was like, hell yeah. What the fuck? I've been trying to go. Like these grants told me I couldn't go, but like now like a friend is telling me, And all that being said, it's like, like this unraveling of like connections and stuff. Like when me and Melissa got to the point of like having this book together, it's like, who is our target audience? If we want to like think about it in a capitalistic way. But to be very anti-capitalist is like, no, like we made this for our community. Like we made this for the people that we know. And I posted about my Cambodian-American like interviews. And then immediately like on social media, like it was shared so much to like a lot of like Cambodia diasporas around the world.
Whoa.
And I was like, people like organizations that I never even knew of started following me because like I posted that about the Cambodian interviews. And then that's how I was like, me and Melissa was like, okay, like we could actually, we will reach a crowd when we get to the funding. And I'm just so happy that like we did it that way. There was no one telling us like what we should be doing. Our friends and family was like helping us like make this book feel better and not think about it in a way of like what sells. Like we're not trying to be here to sell like anything. Like we're here to like really like one conversation that me and Melissa had is the idea of our art is conversation and this book project like is truly about like a conversation with our community. And anyone that wants to be a part of the conversation, they could come in and explore it through this art form or explore it through other art forms. But we're having a conversation and we're not trying to sell it to anyone. And I think the idea of selling it to these corporations, these publishers, it's like we're literally selling our conversation to them. And it's like, no, they don't even want to talk to us. They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to get to know us. And that's why we're going to keep it within our community and keep it intimate. And anyone that wants to get involved, they helped for the project. And there's a lot of people that didn't even know about the genocide that happened in Cambodia. And that's okay. It's like, that's what art is conversation. And we're trying to have this conversation over and over.
Yeah. So do you know when, like, what's the, like a timeline for the project?
So we sent over files already to, Small Editions is helping us produce the book. And so we sent over the files. Hopefully we're in May right now. Hopefully by the fall we have something. But we trust the process and we trust the timing. So,
nice.
And we made enough books for anyone to buy, which is very exciting.
Nice. Yeah. This is so exciting. And I would love also to like talk about your project, Assembly of Every Many Persons. So you started it like at Sustained Release, right? So what is it?
It's a project about the community that shows up to like specifically to Sustained Release, because I was invited to go document Sustained Release. Aurora, who like runs it, she was just like, oh, just like photograph and vibe out. And the first year that I went, I was kind of like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me to like photograph people that I like love and see all the time in nightlife. And yeah, the name itself, Assembly of Very Many Persons, comes from a quote from this book called Rave. I'm blanking on the writer, but it's a book about like the Munich rave scene, and like there was a moment in the story where they said this, like, within this rave, it's like an assembly of very many persons. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful, because like thinking about the idea of persons being an individual, but like when I'm in any rave, like I do see people as individual energies within a greater like place. And I kind of wanted to extract the individuals that gather for that rave, and that's what this project is about.
Nice. Yeah, I showed some pics of it, but yeah, I'm really curious about like what's next for you. And yeah,
what's next for me is more projects. There's more ideas that I want to articulate. Even though there's things like Assembly of Very Many Persons is being is officially published as like a poster zine. So I'm gonna be selling that in the next month.
Oh, nice.
And hopefully there'll be like some activations. And it's gonna be like my first like kind of like art, like physical art piece that people could like assemble the pages and reassemble, and it's just gonna be like a fun kind of zine.
Oh, nice.
Being published by ABC Publishing, which like that opportunity of like the publisher was through my friend Asia, and she was kind of badass. She was just like, hey, like there's this publisher, they need people, like, you want to get on this? And I was like, all right, like, let me pitch them my idea. And it was like really nice, because I just went on a whole ass rant about publishers, and I was like, at least these folk didn't like change any of my ideas. They made my ideas better, or like I tried to articulate what I wanted to do, and they like was just like, oh, what about this and what about that? So it got better. But yeah, so that's coming out, and more community, more connecting. Like my CLA collective, we're working on a lot of different things to really activate like what the collective is all about. And yeah.
Nice, that's so exciting. And last question, what advice would you give to your younger self?
When the advice I want to give to my younger self is, I need to like look at myself in the camera, because I'm like, you're like, I'm gonna be this younger self in the future. Feel all your emotions. It's okay to feel these emotions. Be frustrated, be sad, be happy, feel it all out, and be patient, and understand that these emotions are ways to find the right path for where you need to be, and you're already there. Just continue going.
Wow, beautiful. I was like, also like internalizing. That was so beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, that was so beautiful. Thank you. I'll end here. I'll make sure to include all of the links, and yeah, make sure to check out Guarionex next upcoming events and shows, DJ shows as well.
Yeah, definitely. I do a party with my friend Darren and Bowen, who mentioned before, every second Tuesdays of the month at Bossa Nova Civic Club.
Nice.
If you're in Bushwick. So
yeah, come in, and thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.